Creative Director of Subversion software, and I'm going to demonstrate today Subversion. We would normally, sometimes in the past, we've started our talks by kind of hurling foam Darwinians at the audience, kind of target practice. It's quite cathartic. And then basically a couple of things happened. We ran out of foam Darwinians, and then after a while, people started throwing them back at us as well. And so at that point, we thought it was time, a clear message to move on from Darwinia. Quite frankly, we've seen enough of it, and get on to other things. And hence, that's why I'm here today, to show you Subversion. Subversion's theme is Mission Impossible. Now, there probably are actually some people in the audience who are young enough to believe that Mission Impossible is actually a series of fairly poor Tom Cruise movies. But it's not true. Mission Impossible is actually one of the best TV series ever made, from the 1970s, in my opinion. And it's about a sort of high-tech group of American agents that would infiltrate various Russian organizations or mafia organizations and take them down from the inside. And over 7 or 8 seasons or so, it is basically one of the cleverest and most ingenious TV series ever made. And never once in 7 or 8 seasons did any member of the Mission Impossible team wield 2 guns, one in either hand, in slow motion as they were firing at their enemies. That never happened. The TV series and the movies are quite separate. And so our inspiration for Subversion is to make kind of the ultimate high-tech heist game, with you performing Mission Impossible style feats. So, onwards. The location I'm going to demonstrate today is a bank. Now, like all banks, this bank has a lot of money in it. At the start of the game in Subversion, you are not an established organization. You don't have any resources of any kind. And you have things to do, and so for that reason, a little bit of funding would come in a little bit handy. So, although originally I mentioned Mission Impossible, straight away I'm going to deviate from that, because in Mission Impossible, everybody's lawful good, right, all the time. There's no bad guys in the Mission Impossible team, they're always wonderful. And that's not necessarily the most fun that you can have in a video game. So in this particular instance, we're going to rob this bank. Although, we're going to try and rob it without actually hurting anybody or scaring anybody. In fact, ideally, we're going to rob the bank without anybody even realizing that we're ever actually there until we're long gone. So, at the moment, you can see this is kind of a blueprint schematic of the location, and all we can actually see is the outside of the bank and our van that we've pulled up outside. So, I'm going to start straight away. I'm going to create my little team of intrepid bank robbers. We have Kieran, Terry, and Eskil. Quite distinctive names, I think you'll agree. There they are, right? Some bad motherfuckers, these guys. Now, what we're going to try and do is, so already you can see that these guys are already starting to reveal some of the location through the windows. In fact, we can actually, just by putting our guys up against the windows, we can actually already perform a little bit of early recon, take a look inside the bank, and you can see parts of the inside starting to reveal themselves. It's quite a common tactic. In this case, there's not a huge amount of danger because it's a public bank and this is a public lobby, so we're not going to get, we're not going to get any trouble. I'm using it as a demonstration to show how it's kind of like a exploration effect going on. And so for that very reason, I think probably Eskil. I'm going to send Eskil around sort of the side of the building and around the back, see if you can find any sort of back doors. It looks like there might be a back door or something over there, like any sort of sneaky entrances that might get us past a few extra layers of security. Now, I should point out at this point what is probably already fairly obvious. Subversion is nowhere near finished. Right? This is very much in production. We're not even at the stage of like a buggy MMO beta release. Right? It's far worse than that. There's all kinds of experimental stuff in here that we're not sure about. There's nothing on here that I could point at and say that is definitely final, and that's how it's going to be. So, why would we go to these? Why would I show you something completely unfinished as we're doing? I mean, it flies against all kind of common practice, right? But the thing is that the fact that you're here today implies that you have some interest in indie games, probably indie games development. What we're showing you here is what indie game development is like at Subversion. Kind of warts and all, the kind of messy creative anarchy process that does ultimately result in games like Darwinia, but also gives people like Mark or Andy heart palpitations and stuff as the months roll by and there's no clear sign of ending. Right, so where was I? So let's send some people inside. Let's send Kieran inside. So you've noticed that there are people in this bank, there are other customers hanging around in here doing various bank-related things. We can see some cash machines over here, which might be a bit of an early target. You don't necessarily need to rob the bank vault, right? There's money all over the place in a bank. The bank vault just happens to be the kind of gold-plated final target. But we can also see a few other security guards hanging around in the doorway. There we go. He's got a radio, and I don't quite know why he's a Kalashnikov. It's not that common to see Kalashnikovs deployed for bank defense. But like I said earlier, this is experimental, and this is the best weapon shape we had available at the time. So I know he's going to be a bit of an issue later, so I'm just keeping an eye on him. But for now, I'm just standing here looking a little bit conspicuous with my red radio on my shoulder and my large backpack. So Eskil, I'd sent Eskil around the back of the bank, hadn't I? There is a sort of rear door here. And I can tell already, because I can tell that this is kind of the sort of the bank teller area and people are queuing up to sort of withdraw money and so on. I know that this is going to be a much higher security door than sort of main entrance. It's basically a rear door. But there's a keycard scanner on the doorway. I don't have any way currently to bypass a keycard scanner. So that's a no-go. It might be a useful exit later. But what is interesting is I can see what's almost certainly the telephone junction box for the whole building out the back. So all of their internet connection, all of their telephones are almost certainly running through this junction box. And so if, for example, I had a guy with me who was very skilled in electrical engineering and signals and so on, I could start analysing these telephone lines, isolate which telephones they're connected to, because they are all connected to telephones in the bank, and start redirecting 999 calls and so on, so that I can intercept and say, oh yeah, police are on the way, yeah, basically, and thereby avoid that particular problem. I also have various recon tools with me that I can use to help explore the bank further. So in this particular instance, I do have a wall scanner, which is kind of a magic infrared attached to a wall and reveal everything behind it type device. So in order to use it, I'll just basically what I need to do is stick it to the wall, and using a combination of ultrasonic and magic, it will basically reveal what's through the wall right here. So straight away I've got a view of an area that ordinarily I would not have been able to explore at this point. So straight away I can tell, okay, that's no use whatsoever. It's just a bathroom. Although actually bathrooms have a lot of use in these types of games. Because, well, yeah, we'll see about that, but it's a good hiding place. This room is a lot more interesting. This is some kind of server farm, lots of hardware in here, lots of control systems, lots of equipment. That's the kind of room that we kind of want to get into if you want to start monkeying around with the security systems that are inevitably going to be in this bank. But again, it's all clearly locked up behind scanners. So let's try and actually get somewhere, shall we? Let's take Kieran. Kieran's the lucky guy. So the only door in this area that leads from the public area into the kind of secret area is this locked door here with a keypad on it. Now, there's various ways that I could get through this keypad. I could blow the door off with explosives, although that would kind of give away the fact that this is a covert bank robbery happening. Alternatively, I could wait for a bank staff member to walk through the door right in front of me and then tailgate behind him. I could have also cracked the keypad. I do have a keypad cracker, but it's a pretty low security door, so no one's going to notice if I just kind of wander in behind them. So we're through to a little bit of a security area, and you can see that the cash machines, we can see the back of the cash machines already visible, so our first target is obvious. We don't really want to be, we're already in the secure area, right? You can tell from the yellow outline on the floor that this is now a secure area. If anybody catches us in this area, then they're going to either throw us out or call the police or something. So in order to combat that, we need to, well, thankfully Kieran's pretty good at sort of talking cod shit to people and bullshitting, and so by switching on his kind of incognito fast talking trick, he'll just make himself look unsuspicious to anybody that happens to see him. And you can see that we can now, as long as we're running this and as long as we're in a relatively low security area, nobody will really pay too much attention to us, because, you know, we're doing our fast talking, we're doing our whistling, and it's all good as far as they're concerned. Now we do, however, we know there is a security guard wandering around, and he's likely to be a little bit more suspicious of us. So in fact, I'm actually just going to get out of his way, and he does have a Kalashnikov. As I said earlier, that is quite unusual, but he does have it. Yeah, nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. It worked. Right. That's good. So what we're going to do to stop that from happening again, there's a camera on the wall here. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to attach a hardware camera tap to this camera. Let's see, where is it? Camera bug. So I'm going to attach a camera bug to this camera, and thereby tap that camera feed, so that from now on I can see whatever that camera can see. Let's stick it on the wall. There we go. So now that camera is tapped and under my control, whenever it switches on, you notice how as the camera goes off, we lose sight of this room, people start to fade out, you gradually lose track of them, right, and you don't know who's in there anymore. And then the camera switches back on and you've got them back again, so you know they're there. So using that trick, we know we can be certain that we're not going to get disturbed by any security guards. Right, so onwards. We have here a small key lock, pretty easy to get past. I'm going to drill it. There we go. I brought a drill with me. I've got quite a lot of stuff in this backpack. It's a pretty big backpack. I'm going to fire this up and start. Oh. Nothing to see here. That's good. Right. Onwards. I didn't notice anything. Nothing. In Mission Impossible, every now and then, they have these amazing drills, and they're wrapped up in like what looks like about an inch of foam rubber, and they make absolutely no sound. They can be drilling through 6 inches of solid concrete, and they make no sound whatsoever. It's brilliant, and that's basically one of those magic drills. That's what that is there. Right, so well, we've made it into this area, so let's go nuts. There we go, $6,000, and that one too. Okay, it's a bit more money. These cash machines are all going to be blinking empty now. There we go, $18,000. So that was easy, wasn't it? I might just actually close that door now. Actually, I won't bother. Okay, so next room then. So still nobody's. They're all turned away from me, and you know I'm doing my whistling thing. So you can see some of the telephones that these are clearly wired out to that junction box that I was telling you about at the back. There are some cash registers here, but it's a bit blatant. If I try and open those cash registers, these staff are permanently here. They will obviously get a bit suspicious if I start putting all the money in my pocket. So I guess we probably won't do that. Yeah, I don't think so. So what I think we'll do is we'll try and go through. Alright, so I can see a little bit further around now. This is clearly the secure area. I mean, you can see there's kind of